Your people don't wake up and say, how can I be unsuccessful in my job today? What can I do to feel absolutely great about making everybody else's life around me harder? They don't. They want to be successful. Now, I know you guys might believe, or you have cause to believe even, that they're actually doing this, but they're not. It's not real. It's not real. They want to be successful. They want to contribute at a high level to the leader in the practice that helps them pay their bills, to the people that they have relationships, given the number of hours that we spend at work every single week in our lives. So they're not saying this. They're just stuck. And we've got to be able to figure out how to get them unstuck. The first part of getting them unstuck is being able to help them understand, or help them by relieving the issues that we're bringing to the table. And then once we've done that, then we can come over to start addressing their issues with the support and challenge matrix. This is a leadership philosophy that blends two elements together that will allow you to be more effective in being able to give your team the kind of leadership that they need. And again, this is a simple 2x2 matrix for a reason. Okay. This is going to be simple, but I'm not going to say that this is easy. I've been leveraging this matrix for probably about 7 years now, and I still go down to deeper levels of understanding on this as I further understand myself the older that I get. So let's kind of look at this. Let's look at this matrix real quick. On one axis, you've got high and low levels of support. On the other, you have high and low levels of challenge. What we want to do is apply equal amounts of support as we do challenge. Now, our hardwiring inside of us, we all have natural tendencies based on our biology, right? The theory is nature, nurture, and choice. Our DNA, how we were raised, the decisions that we've made, all have created predictable behavior by most people. So that predictable behavior, or that hardwiring, already dictates that we all fall naturally into either the protector or the dominator quadrant. All of us. End of story. Okay. I, for one, am a recovering dominator. A lot of horror stories, a lot of embarrassing moments, but that's a part of it. We all have it if we're going to be in a leadership position. Okay. Now, the key to this self-assessment of our leadership is that it gives us the blueprint of where to apply our focus. So as a recovering dominator, I understand that I'm naturally going to apply high amounts of challenge. It's going to happen. We just got to go do it. That's Colin's favorite quote of mine. We just got to go do it. We just have to go make it happen. We just need to do this. I don't understand why this is so hard. I'm naturally going to act that way. Now, knowing that that's naturally going to happen and I'm going to bring challenge to my people, I need to make sure that I'm being intentional about bringing support. So the awareness of what quadrant I fall into is so powerful, because now it brings me to a point of choice where when I'm in a conversation with a team member, I know that I'm naturally going to challenge them, and my intentional display of support, or my intentional methods of providing the right level of support for them, is what's going to get me up into that liberator quadrant for them so that they can be their very best. Okay. Now, we'll get into deeper levels of this later. Again, this is it might look very simple, but this is a very, very deep matrix in terms of the meaning. How I am with top performers, I'm a protector most of the time. The rest of my team, I'm a dominator. With my wife and my youngest daughter, I'm a protector. With my oldest, I'm a dominator. There are relationships, there are areas of our life. This applies to everything that we do, and it is dynamic. But in the majority of my relationships, I will be a dominator when I'm leading other people, and I've got to be aware of that. And the key to that awareness is the game changer for how we can change not only our lives, but the lives of those around us in terms of our interaction with them. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next slide here. Let's dive a little bit more into what this looks like. So high support and low challenge. this sounds like, well, I'm not happy with this, but I haven't shared my expectations. So I mean, are they really, is it really their fault? It's probably mine. I really can't hold them accountable for this. They probably don't know it's going on and that it might've been going on for a long time because we're not saying anything and people aren't mind readers still. We're hoping to get there one day, or maybe not. Without challenge, we're protecting our people, and that protection can create a culture of entitlement, right? So I think about high support as making deposits in a bank account, and think about challenge as making withdrawals. Think about your kids. If you're making deposits all the time in their bank account and they're not expected to pay for anything and there's no withdrawals coming out, silver spoon, they're going to be spoiled. They're going to be entitled. They're going to think everything is going to be given to them. This is very, very much the same. And I'm sure as you guys can look, if you're diagnosing yourself as a protector in your leadership, you probably can realize, yeah, I do have some entitlement on my team. Now, the key is the entitlement coming from them, or is the entitlement coming from how I'm leading them? And if it's coming from how I'm leading them, how can I alter my leadership to effectively lead them to a different outcome, as Colin said earlier? All right, high challenge, low support. I'm not happy and you got to fix it now and step it up. This is without support. This is dominating people and it creates fear. This might sound like, well, that's what the paycheck is for. That's why I hired you. Do your job. Do you not know how to do your job? Yep. People know this stuff. There are things that are getting in their way. What is the support that they need from somebody that's outside of them that can see it, that can help get them unlocked in that area? Now, again, that fear comes in because it's very quick to challenge. There's not a lot of praise. There's not a lot of positive reinforcement. It's just right to it. No, we got to do better in this area. We got to do better in this area. And again, that fear creates a lack of safety, which drives down performance. So now let's go back to the bank account analogy. Imagine you're going to a bank account and you're starting to make withdrawals from it, but you're not making any deposits. What's going to happen after a short period of time? You're going to be in the red, right? Our people come on board and we start making withdrawals. There's an account balance in there, but we start making withdrawals and we're not making deposits, where if we are, they're not enough. And because of that, we're in the red. We don't have any equity there. And our people start to get checked out and they stop following us. So we've got to be very, very careful about how we show up in both of those quadrants so that when we're looking to help unlock our team members, again, we're not getting in their way and we're leveraging the other side of this to try to help grow them. All right, let's go ahead and go to the next slide. Now, this is the fun one. This is the low challenge and low support, the abdication. So-and-so has a saying, it drives everyone crazy and it doesn't work, but just ignore it. It's just apathy. The thing that we hear most of the time on this, and if you've been in this situation, you'll recognize it. I just hope they quit. I just hope they go away. Like, I hope it just resolves itself. I'm not challenging them. I'm not supporting them. I just hope they get the message and they leave.
Yeah. And how often does that happen?
What, Colin?
And how often does that happen?
It's often. It is often. And we get it. We get it. For dominators, you challenge so much and you get so fed up with it, you say, okay, I'm done trying to have this conversation. But for whatever reason, you don't pull the plug and let them go. Well, you're also not providing them any support, so they immediately fall into abdication.
Yep. Right?
The protector, it's like, oh my God, I'm so frustrated. You're like a powder keg, and it's all of a sudden, oh, I can't deal with this person anymore. So then you stop supporting them. Fall down into the abdication quadrant. It happens quite easily, but we have to recognize that it's happening really because of how we're showing up and how we're leading, and less, not entirely, but it's more about how we're leading and less about what's going on with them. And if, again, we can leverage this matrix to improve our approach, it's also the very same matrix that's going to give you the key to understand how you need to engage with them to better improve their performance. So with protectors, here's one of the critical things. 75% of the world is strong on support. 25% strong on challenge. Now, this is the whole, this isn't leaders. This is the whole globe in general. But what happens here is for a dominator who's leading a practice, what you have is you have the majority of your team that's actually strong on support. So you challenge them, they don't challenge one another, they support one another, and it becomes this us against them kind of scenario. On the support side, if you are a leader who is a protector, essentially what we call it is it's a culture of protection, where everybody's kind of protecting one another and everybody is careful about what they say because they don't want to upset anyone, because they know the popularity contest is running, and if that happens, there's not going to be, there won't be good outcomes for them. Now, most tend to avoid conflict and difficult conversations because it's easier to work around conflicts than address it, or so we think. It's easier in that moment. It's definitely not easier in the long term, because it's the avoidance that actually is at the root of the problem and allows, just like with your patients, when they're not coming in for preventative treatment, what happens? They end up with a big old issue. And that's why I love this industry, because this industry is so analogous to leadership. When you're avoiding the problems on the team, that's the same as your patients not getting preventative treatment, not coming in for their hygiene checkups, not coming in for cleanings. When that's happening, they're creating a bigger problem down the line. You know that. Same thing with our leadership. Okay? You end up storing up that frustration, and this is that powder keg thing. And it makes having that conversation even harder. And here's what happens. Now I'm really frustrated. And if I go have a conversation now, it's going to be really bad. And what you do is you slingshot down into the dominator quadrant, if you have the conversation. And then they're like, whoa, what is going on here? I don't trust you. Why? Or I thought everything was fine. And you're like, are you kidding me? Things have been terrible for a while. How have you not seen this? And I'm like, well, why didn't you tell me? Blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
Right? Or you don't say anything at all and you just say, okay, I'm just going to let it go. And and then you fall into abdication on that powder keg if you don't want to blow up at them and create a bigger issue. But you're in that place because you were avoiding, you're practicing avoidance in your leadership. So how do you level up your skills to be able to lean in and be effective with challenging your team so that you can be effective at helping your team and growing your team? That has got to be the key question that you guys have to ask yourselves, protectors. Remember that self-awareness. You just got to ask yourself, what needs to be said that I am not saying? That's your question. What needs to be said that I'm not saying? And we're going to give you some tips down below in a coaching progression checklist. It's going to give you some really good language on how to actually do this. We've been doing this for a long time with practices, and we've got this down to a bit of a science here. We know where the shortcuts are and where the pitfalls are. So we're going to be able to help you get through all that.
Yep.
All right. And dominators, a quarter of the world are really strong at challenge, but most dive right in and focus on that area is the only issue. They forget about the other 85% that the team member is doing really well. And all that person hears about is that 10 to 15%. And they feel belittled and they feel dominated. They feel diminished, because the dominator doesn't keep in context all of the other great things that they're doing, because they've got that perfectionist, they've got that thing going on within them. But it makes people feel like they are not as appreciated and being recognized for their full body of work, because these things are only being isolated. Okay. Now, two things that drive a disconnect for the dominator: the lack of acknowledgement of the things that are being done well. The other 80 to 85%. And that acknowledgement is huge. People learn better through positive reinforcement. I mean, you guys can go read the psychology journals out there. People learn better through positive reinforcement than they do through constructive feedback or negative feedback. It's just the way we're wired. Oh, you like that? That's good. Okay, great. I'll do more of that. That's a lot easier than, oh, you don't like that? You want me to do something that I'm not doing and I don't know how to do? Oh, that's very hard. So when we can give them positive reinforcement in areas and then tell them, hey, you're doing really great, and add this little bit in, it makes it a lot easier for them. And we can help bridge that gap. Rushing to judgment without knowing all of the contributing factors. We talk about it all the time. 2 words: seek understanding. Seek understanding. What should we do here? Well, let's go seek understanding first, because we probably don't have all the information. We don't know all the contributing factors. And when we rush to judgment, all we're doing is making false claims. And it's not fair to them. And the point is not to make a claim. The point is to understand what's going on so we can help our people grow. Okay, so on your side, how do you level up your skills to seek understanding in every situation? Everything your people do, everything they do makes sense to them. Let's repeat that one more time. Every single thing your people do makes complete and total sense to them, or they wouldn't be doing it.
Yep.
So if we do have sane people in our practice, if we have sane human beings in there, the things that they're doing make sense to them. So if we can just seek understanding on that, then that's where we can get to a better sense of why they're doing it and help them correct it. When we don't do that, they don't feel understood and they get defensive. And when we give them the feedback, they say, but you don't get it. You don't understand. And it's like a brick wall instead of fertile ground where we can come together and plant some seeds and allow them to grow.